Do you like non-alcoholic beer? I'm talking about beer that tastes just as bad as regular beer, but you don't even get a buzz, so it doesn't even start to taste better after a while because you're drunk. No? You're not a fan? Well, it doesn't really matter what you think because this industry is booming. Look at this growth chart from Hustle Trends, which is a pretty good website. You've got non-alcoholic beer at a compounded annual growth rate of 8.3%, where normal beer is almost flat at 2%. And you can just see from this chart that it is growing very, very fast. So somebody loves non-alcoholic beer. And actually, it's not somebody, it's a lot of somebodies. Me personally, I'm not a big beer guy, but I do like dark beer. But even with dark beers, I ask myself, at this point, if you're drinking a chocolate stout, like why aren't you just drinking a milkshake? That's what I really want, is a milkshake at all times.
My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, and they're like, it's better than yours, damn right.
But you know what's good? That's kind of like a milkshake, but not really. Pina coladas, especially pina coladas and pineapples. I love pina coladas and pineapples. If you ever see a brown guy just drinking out of pineapple, it's probably me. A lot of times I'll just be in a bar or restaurant, drinking out of pineapple, and I'll hear people go by and they'll be like, what a fruit. Because I'm always drinking fruity drinks, I think. But in this video, we're gonna go over the non-alcoholic beer industry and why it's booming. But before we get into that, make sure you check out our free systems trading checklist. Because I love talking about trends and where industries are going, what's popular, but I don't trust myself to fully trade off that information. That's why I have a trading system, because it will pick up on trends and make money even when I miss them. And I do miss things because you can't know everything. Once again, why I like systems. And one of the first things you need to execute a system properly is a checklist. So just go to this page, I'll put a link to it down below in the description and comments. Just put in your name and email and I'll send that to you. It's free. So you'll get the checklist that we use with our systems, and you'll also get this free video training showing you how to use it and how we use it in our own trading. All free, check it out. So you and me might not like non-alcoholic beer, or maybe you do, but either way, the sales have climbed over 90% in the last decade, significantly outpacing the growth of the broader beer market. Nowadays, half of Americans actually want to decrease their alcohol consumption. Crazy, because everyone's on a health kick now, keto and gluten-free and whatever else. So getting off alcohol is one of those fantastic health things you can do. So we already saw this chart, but by 2024, the global non-alcoholic beer market is poised to surpass 25 billion, which is 8% annual growth. And traditional beer is only at about 2%. Big difference. So all the big boys are jumping into this non-alcoholic trend, Heineken being one of them. And last year was their best year in a decade, partially because of their introduction expansion of Heineken 0.0. Here it is, their non-alcoholic beer. And I think it's called 0.0. I don't know how to pronounce it, because it was just introduced in the US in January. And Heineken said making a brilliant non-alcoholic beer is really hard, because when you remove alcohol from beer, you tend to remove the flavor and aroma with it. But with 0.0, we have cracked the technology. I guess it's hard to put a beer flavor into something. Like, you don't see beer flavored chocolate or beer flavored cereal, do you? Now, I thought that we didn't have those things because it would taste terrible. But in fact, it's just really hard to mimic beer's taste. I don't know. I would rather drink juice or something. But this isn't about me, because clearly this is working. The 0.0 sales contribute to 5% of Heineken's UK portfolio already. So the non-alcoholic is worth 7% in Spain and 20% in Russia. In the US, Heineken is hoping that the non-alcoholic beer will make up 5% of its US portfolio by 2023, which would be a very fast rise because, like I said, they didn't introduce it in the US until this January. So they say the early signs are looking good because Heineken's earnings through the first 6 months of the year were up 10% in the low to non-alcoholic beer segment. And Heineken isn't the only company getting in. Like I said, all the big boys are. So Anheuser-Busch, the world's largest beer conglomerate, their goal is for low or non-alcoholic brands to make up 20% of their global volume by 2025. They're currently at 8%. So this is a big trend that everyone's jumping on. And if we look at their stock prices, Heineken, which is an over-the-counter stock for us US people, it's been trending pretty well since January. That happens to be when the non-alcoholic beer was introduced in the US, but I would not say say that is the main factor here. It's definitely a contributing factor, but there are way more things to look at. Might be something you want to investigate further here though. And if we look at Budweiser, it's kind of the same thing here. Hit a bottom in December and then rocketed up from there. But you know, all companies in a single sector tend to move together in the same way. So one of the biggest growth areas for this non-alcoholic beer is in places where you're not allowed to drink alcohol. The Middle East being one of them. So they banned alcohol in 1979. So the market for a legal alternative has flourished, and the Middle East now accounts for almost a third of the entire global market. And that's Iran, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, all of them which have strict alcohol consumption laws, which is rough because things are already so strict around there. I don't imagine it's an easy life. So at the end of the day, you just want to kick back with a beer, but you can't even do that. In America, it's a little easier, you know, at least for all the Muslim friends that I have. In America, we drink like true Americans. And for them, you know, with all their vices, they gotta hide them, not from Allah because, you know, he could see everything, but from their parents who are much scarier than any god. And the most fun thing to watch is at weddings when they're still trying to get messed up for the party, but they can't show it off to anybody because all their parents are there. So we all get to carry around little water bottles, you know, full of clear liquid, just like we were in high school. At one point, this one Muslim uncle came up to me and he's like, "Pani." He wants some water. He was looking at my water bottle because pani means water. And I was like, "No, uncle, this is not pani. This is special pani, Tito's pani. You cannot have this." And he looked at me like this. He's like, "Why is this asshole not giving me any water?" What he doesn't know is that I saved him from sinning. You're welcome. So on top of these non-alcoholic beverages getting real popular overseas, it's also getting popular in the US because of all these new movements like I was talking about against drinking. So now the popular thing is Sober Curious. So Sober Curious, the first time I heard of that, this girl explained it to me like,
I'm sober curious, like I don't have a problem, like I can drink, but like I'm not going to.
I was like, all right, great. I didn't know we needed a label for that, but sure. So Sober October, that's part of that movement. I've not been practicing. But Sober Curious, it does make sense though, because all you need is a buzzword and a trend to make something popular. You know, to make it feel acceptable. And in order to do that, what you need to do is create a group where you can exclude other people, because acceptance is all group specific. So this guy, no matter how cool he is, no, he would not be popular right now. Instead of getting cheered on, he would get a, what are you doing? That's gross. Now I'm making fun of non-alcoholic beer a lot, but no, it is actually good that people are trying to drink less. It is much, much better for your health.
I personally have reduced my alcohol consumption a lot.
But it is still very good to get blitzed once in a while, especially with everybody so uptight nowadays, not wanting to offend anyone. Our PC culture, you know, they're all wound up. You can't get a straight answer from anyone about anything. So alcohol gets people real relaxed, brings down those borders, kills the ego so you could really connect. Plus, we have a demographic crisis and alcohol does tend to lead to more babies, so you know, that's a plus side too, I guess. I just don't want anyone to forget that there are some big benefits of alcoholic alcohol drinks. You can see Google searches right here. Non-alcoholic beer has been trending up for the last decade, and recently Sober Curious has had a huge spike. Maybe after I tell someone my preferred pronouns, I'll also announce that I'm sober curious. Feels right. So one of the interesting things is that with non-alcoholic beer, all the rules are a lot less stringent because it becomes like pop, right? So that means things like distribution are easier, including on the internet. So I can see this area really blow up for direct-to-consumer companies. And these are the companies that create a really strong brand around a simple product that you would normally find at the store, like Dollar Shave Club or Magic Spoon, which is a keto cereal that they'll send you. So I can see the same thing happening with non-alcoholic beer, and then they'll add a bunch of their own flavor in addition to the branding. Like you could have probiotics and this and some extra calcium, I don't know, whatever they want. And what's interesting about non-alcoholic beer is that it's huge among the athlete community. So like Olympians are drinking this stuff and there's actual health benefits from it. Like check out this PubMed article. It says non-alcoholic beer reduces inflammation and incidence of respiratory tract illness. So I don't know if it's the hops or what it is, but these are all different marketing angles these companies can use to blow this thing up even bigger. And it's interesting because right now we have a bunch of different D2C companies for a bunch of different things like razors, mattresses, and in each one of those subsections you got a lot of different companies competing. So I imagine at some point there will be some consolidation, and part of that consolidation will be companies like Heineken and Budweiser buying those D2C non-alcoholic beverage companies. So if you're tracking spirits stocks, it's good to keep an eye on this industry's trend and how they will continue to capitalize on it. Or you could just track nothing at all and just use a system, which also works too. So make sure you check out this checklist. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so you get an email notification whenever our new videos come out. We're publishing a bunch every week. So subscribe and I'll see you in the next video. Stay fallible out there. Bye.